Hi, my friends. This is Trey. This is my channel, Trey's Myths and Tunes, in my daily ritual, Trey's timeless 35, 45 hike, 30, 15 minutes of explaining on YouTube and Odyssey. And today my talk is called Lonliness is Perceptual Mythology and How to See Through the Lie. There was a sun once. It lit the whole blessed sky. It kept everything alive. And there was a man once who looked it straight in the eye. He saw everything, and he went blind. That's why they say, shield your eyes. And all these fearmongers just staring at sidewalk lines, looking at their cell phones to fill their brain with lies. I say, liars are sworn to lie, but you must not obey or believe their lies. Shield yourself from the bullshit with discernment and love for Christ. Why? Well, it's obvious why, but our souls have to separate into these bodies for these experiences for our missions. So the mainstream media run by the Illuminati makes us feel, unless we're awakened or aware, the fifth and the sixth dimension, or what the Christ consciousness awareness actually is, we believe we're the voice, or even worse yet, the Draco or Zeta or other disrespectful, archontic, AI, parasitic, reptilian voice coming through the radio waves of our brain. The reason why they don't want you to know etheric energy is real, well, they tell you Wi-Fi is going through the air. They admit it's etheric, right? But they don't want you to know how they poison us with it, right? That's why it's not labeled. But the invention of Mork from Ork, well, Robin Williams his dad was the president of Chrysler, and he was in a huge mansion alone as the only child. So he created these characters that ended up being his first sitcom, and where he played a space alien in that comedy show, because he was so physically alone, such a brilliant guy, physically alone in that mansion with only the maid, only the servant, the cook maid to feed him his meals, watching him, no one else in the mansion. So his physical loneliness led to his connection. So really there's no such thing as loneliness, because when we're alone, we connect with the Almighty if we're open to that, or to meditate. So you have to create a way out from that perception of loneliness. For example, my previous belief, as I say, Barry Gordy being my MK Ultra operator, so to speak, seeing through that deception, through a lot of suffering, through an alien love bite, even, you have to figure out how to see through this perception, because then you realize the inherent desire and nature to service others and help others in a respectful, harmless way is your human nature. Your works will become more respectful if they're not there, if you're not on that level already. But see, the high property tax, wage slaves, and the high property taxpayers, financial dependents often get stuck in the fake loneliness hole. The intended trap, unchecked, brings the narcissistic predator entities in closer to feed. The answer is awareness of your multidimensionality. It's a fact. It's not a woo-woo fantasy bullshit. We're multidimensional beings. We're not 3D beings. If you want to wake up to the Christ, you have to be aware of what at least the fourth and fifth and sixth dimensions are. The others a little more vague as you go up, but accept acceptance of spirits' isolation in bodies. That's real. Spirits isolate in these bodies temporarily for a lifetime. All else, all of the other all the other isolation is false. Okay, just remember it. It is conceptual, and also it's done with contracts. Your marriage contract, your rental, your job contract locks you into the perceptual um, positionality, or could go lead to narcissism, or that boss being the narcissist around you. So you're forced to unless you quit. So it can lock you into that conceptual prison of the contracted reality. But see, if you're really with your hierogamic union soulmate wife, for example, even if you got the legal marriage certificate, you're not going to let it be a three-way with that person in a black robe, a three-way relationship with them, because you'll have the discernment and respect and love to keep it out of that shit storm, that they're operating. So you have to see the extent of the conceptual control, the brainwashing, and it's like, what am I to say about that? If I'm not prepared for a sexual relationship, I'm practicing sharing platonically here. I'm reclaiming interpersonal humanity. You have to know how to make eye contact, have politeness, listening, saying thanks, finding a way to serve others every day, or you're gonna, unless you know these basic social, humanitarian, basic old world human skills, you're gonna be a lonely idiot more often if you don't have those basic skills. I mean, it's just, I'm from the friendliest town, so I can tell you in USA, Charleston. So if you can't do those things, if you call yourself lonely, you're gonna be stuck in it. So find a way to serve others every day, even just a smile. Great joy reveals loneliness is fake. So people can see through it if you're faking it. In nature, nothing rots. You'll find very little black mold, very little deadly mold. Nothing rots, manipulates. It just transforms into trees, into ground, nutrients for the trees, food for the trees. No, there is nothing possibly fake if there's no trash. No separation in the forest or in the ocean, the beach scene, unless there's little pieces of plastic. All is obviously inseparable. So, so are all your thoughts, emotions, and body. So recognize and reorganize into the perception of harmless self-respect. Admit the obvious at one minute, merging sacred masculine and feminine, which means, according to Mark Passio, you have to have physical self-defense and care, which I would say also means, as much as possible, harmlessly, protecting and caring for others as well. Loneliness is the lone liar. Truth is togetherness. It's unbelievable to real souls. However, in the paradox of human life, the yin yang, it takes at least two to exist truly, even. For example, I would have to farm or have someone to bring me seeds to eat and to reproduce, to not die off. I would have to have a woman to reproduce. So, Mark Passio's definition of meek would be having full protection, yet not willing to use force except for self-protection. According to an old Latin or old dictionary he looked it up. So I found this fascinating because you see, the Hare Krishnas, who I've lived with some of their followers, and the Hopi Indians were the only Native American tribe I know of, one of the few, who were able to keep their land because they had guns and they were willing to protect their property from the white man government coming in. So, but also the Blue Mountain Rastafarians, no police officer or CIA guy from the USA is going to be dumb enough to go in the Jamaican Blue Mountains. No one ever pays rent there. because they're religious Rastafarian guys and grow a lot of huge cannabis plants there. They have stacks of guns, which they never use, but they would if the cops or the CIA came to fuck with them. Okay? This is what, according to Mark Passio, and I'm not saying I advocate for guns. I'm just saying my dad was a Freemason. I'm the grandson of a 33-degree Freemason. My dad was in the NRA. But I believe what Albert Einstein said is true on that. If you prepare for war, you cannot prepare for peace and prepare for war. However, that could be a socialist double talk. And so I want you to be prepared for the war we're already in and to help defeat the destroyer angel within your subconscious mind without violence, without harming yourself or anyone else. And that is what I'm here for. Okay, so I'm here to help you defeat the devil within your mind as much as possible. So, but it is good food for thought. Those using force properly to inherit the earth, question mark, are these guys who have guns who never use them, and these motherfucking psychotic Khazarian mafias with their reptilian overlords don't try to do anything because they realize that these people are asserting their right to sovereignty, to free will, and fully. All psychopathy exposed and often removed from power these days. Okay? It's getting a lot of psychopathy is getting exposed and removed. It's not even, what I'm doing is just a normal thing amongst hundreds of people around the world. All dictators believe in loneliness. The primacy of ego. Think about it. They're all lonely motherfuckers, man. Klaus Schwab, Gates, they've got to be extremely lonely. I mean, he lost his wife after having forced or attempted to force everyone to take their experiment, right? So look at that. Like, accept the big picture of exopolitics and the evil anti-life aliens trying to secretly destroy us and take over everything in our face and with their Nazi officers and eugenic sons, okay? You have to accept that and accept the little picture of your thoughts and emotions and how it's happening there and how the destroyer angels are trying to get you there and sometimes succeeding. And the connection to the exterior is the key. How your thoughts affect your exterior life. When you begin to see what I'm saying is not crazy, but it's the reality, and how much your every thought affects your life, that's the key. The ideal is to live harmlessly, to do what you want, to help others. Okay? You can do whatever you want if you're helping others, ideally to earn money or to figure out how to feed yourself and help others. Ideally, harmlessly do what you want to help others heal and or awaken to the truth of peace and freedom. Respect are your real essential needs. Truth, peace, freedom, and respect are your real essential needs. And your soul's growing, I would say, too. The Christ conscious growth through your soul. Stopping all Hippocratic actions, ideally, is tricky at first. Takes a lot of forgiveness. Look how embedded it is. Look how embedded the manipulation and deception and gaslighting and shit-talking amongst your family is. Taking the long view of your life is very key. Having soul recapitulations, learning soul retrieval, reframing, extreme forgiveness, consecrating till you have no perception of loneliness. Okay, it's a possibility you can do that. Even without a partner like me. Accepting duality, the yin-yang, means serving the soul's growth, all soul's growth, as much as you can, not retarding it. Every time I manipulate or abuse, psychologically abuse, obey the narcissistic predator entities and act in that way, I'm not helping that person or me. I'm being retarded. And, again, until I'm 100% clear, I've done all the shadow work, It can be tricky, but you can do that. You can creatively reawaken your soul in action by practicing these techniques. Compare using CBD to get rid of an illness or temporarily deal with something to big pharma deference as an example of the fakeness of loneliness. Okay, so If you have to run off to the doctor every time you get sick, that's about how fake the idea of loneliness is. And it's more like using CBD. You realize loneliness is fake and you make it go away.